Hello and welcome everybody to this video. Here it's all about low self-esteem and high self-esteem and what is the difference. Now, chances are that when you're watching this video, you've read somewhere about low self-esteem, right? And how that relates to like being jealous or being treated unfairly, being taken advantage of, being bullied, all those things. And you want to find out for yourself whether I have a low self-esteem or whether I have a high self-esteem and what is the difference. Or you know somebody who has a low self-esteem and you want to help that person, and you will be able to do that with this video. My goal here is to give you absolute clarity what is one and what is another. One more announcement. I have a healing meditation that I put together that you can find in the video description below. If you want to work on your self-esteem and want to go through an inner process where a resolution can happen on an emotional level, I highly recommend you checking this out. And let us start with the video right now. So what is low self-esteem and what is high self-esteem? And the first thing that we need to understand here is that there is no such thing as high self-esteem. There is only healthy self-esteem. Let me give you an example, right? Usually we tend to infer the state of self-esteem from the behavior that somebody displays. But I give you an example. Let's say we have two men, and one man sits in his basement, plays PlayStation, can't find his way in a relationship, probably is jobless, and he has a low self-esteem. That's why he can't find his way in a relationship, and that's why we call him, with the label that society would give, a failure. Let's take another man who's like all jacked up and goes to the gym and goes after the women, and he gets the women and drives a sports car, where we would from the outside give him a label of like he is successful, he must have a high self-esteem, whether the other person must have a low self-esteem. Here's the truth though. Usually both of those behaviors are based on low self-esteem. Either you get somebody to quit because they say, okay, I'm not worth it anyway, I can't do anything about it, or you get somebody who says, okay, I feel only worthy unless I prove my worth, I achieve, I succeed. And this is also conditional. This is both based on the low self-esteem that the people hold within, but one person goes in what we call overcompensation, right? Compensating for the lack of self-esteem, and the other person goes in giving up, basically. So the point that I'm making is there's no such thing as high self-esteem. There's only a healthy self-esteem, right? When we think about self-esteem, we talk about low self-esteem and high self-esteem, as in this example of these two men. And there would be something in the middle. This is not quite accurate. What is the truth is that there's no high self-esteem, there's only a healthy self-esteem. And what I mean by that is this. This is what we need to understand as another dynamic here. Healthy self-esteem is our natural state, right? It's our default state. There are only some things. There are mental confusions and beliefs that we made up in childhood, which we want to be talking about here in a second, that lead us out of this natural state. What healthy self-esteem means is that we feel good about ourselves. We believe we deserve to be loved and to be shown affection and attention without doing anything for that, right? What low self-esteem means is I need to prove my worth in a certain way, either by getting good grades or by being very attractive, but there is some condition. Only if I am that way, then I feel for myself I'm worthy of receiving love. And what healthy self-esteem is, getting rid of those ideas and seeing, okay, sometimes I behave in a stupid way, this is my behavior, but in the core of my being, I am worthy of love. I am worthy that people show me love and affection and attention, and that I have connection with people that is not dependent on what I do. This is an internal feature kind of myself, of being worthy of love no matter what. Now, sometimes, as I said, I behave stupidly, and sometimes I behave very generously or whatever to people, so people express themselves differently, but it's not like one way I'm worthy and in another way I am not worthy. This is what we need to overcome. I will give you another metaphor, another picture. Have you ever seen documentaries about the ocean, and there are these trash islands, like these islands of like dozens of miles made up of trash, right? Now, when we look at that and we are not educated about the ocean, we might feel that, okay, in order to get rid of that, I need to add cleanliness to the ocean in order to bring the ocean back to its natural state. This is what we would be thinking of when we would think, okay, there's a low self-esteem, and now I need to change that by practicing my high self-esteem. Right? By practicing things so I increase my self-esteem. Here's the point that I'm making with the metaphor. In the same way as adding cleanliness to an ocean that is polluted with trash is a stupid idea. In the same way, adding high self-esteem because we believe that we have a low self-esteem is stupid. This is a game of subtraction, not of addition. What we need to get rid of is all those beliefs and those emotional patterns that take us out of this natural state, right? Every child feels, okay, I am worthy of love in the beginning. There are only certain beliefs that it makes up in a dynamic that I will be explaining just in a moment, where then feels, okay, I am only worthy unless, right, this overcompensation route, or I am totally unworthy because, this kind of quitting and giving up on itself route. What I would like you to understand now is, to bring it to the conclusion now, there is no such thing as high self-esteem. There is only a healthy self-esteem and a damaged sense of self-esteem. Do you see that? The damaged sense of self-esteem comes from certain belief system that we formed, in the same way as when there's trash on the ocean. There is no point in trying to work on your self-esteem or making it better or improving it in the sense of trying to add something on top, right? Trying to add cleanliness to the polluted ocean. It's a stupid idea. It's an outrageous idea. In the same way, adding self-esteem basically comes from the same low self-esteem thinking, right? You feel, okay, oh, now I discovered I have a low self-esteem. I feel I need to work on myself right now, right? I need to add something, I need to improve myself. Subconsciously, the thought goes on, in order to prove my worth. So I'll be a better person, so I enhance my chance of people love and liking me, right? This is all conditioned on based on who I am, how I behave, how I'm doing in life, right? This is a low self-esteem thinking of like improving, making yourself better in the sense of self-esteem. What rather needs to happen, what is the real remedy for low self-esteem, is to return to the natural state. And this is what we want to be talking about now. So, as I said, there are some things that take us out of this natural state, right? That we believe we need to prove our worth in order to be worthy of love and attention and affection. And here I need to explain a little dynamic from childhood, right? I've explained that in other videos, so we want to make it quick and concise here so you get to our goal of having clarity about what is this and what is this and why are those not the same, and how can we maybe even find a different word of like damaged self-esteem and healthy self-esteem, which gets us out of this illusion that from the behavior we can infer the state of self-esteem of a person. So the point that I'm making is, when we were children, right, we were unconditionally loved. Everything was being done for us, right? And then at some point our parents decided that now it's a good time to teach the child the rules of society, because the parents thought and sensed now the child is able to understand. From a children's perspective, this was experienced as a trauma. The child felt, okay, I used to be unconditionally loved. Now there are conditions of how I need to be, how I need to behave. Now my worth of being loved is dependent on how I'm doing and whether I conform to my parents' expectations. This is an initial trauma that everybody goes through. So most people who haven't looked at carry this sense of damaged self-esteem, which is in essence, I need to be a certain way in order to feel worthy of accepting love, right? There's also a second dynamic that we need to understand in order to have full clarity about the whole topic, so you can then decide for yourself how you want to go about working on your self-esteem and not go in any route that is misleading, where you feel I need to do some practices in order to enhance my self-esteem, right? The second dynamic is this: when a child does not feel that there is some love coming from the parent towards the child in the way that the child would like to receive that, then it needs to assume I am not worthy of their love. Now, why does the child need to assume that? It is a protection mechanism, right? A child has two major needs: the need for security, which is the very top, and the need for love. Now, love is important to a child, but what is even more important is that the child has a sense and a feeling of stability, of safety and security, and seeing that, okay, my parents are good caretakers, they are always there for me, and I can be sure that I am actually protected here. Now, when then something happens to the child, right, in the dynamic between the parent and the child, for example, physical abuse or emotional unavailability, where the child feels I can't really reach the person, right? Sometimes daddy comes home and he's able to play with me. Sometimes he comes home and he's just exhausted and sits in front of the TV. This is an example of emotional unavailability. When the child feels in some of those dynamics that there's no love coming forward towards the child needs to assume that it is because of me. It is because I don't deserve it, right? What would be traumatic for a child is to assume, okay, my parents are caught up in their own emotional issues and they are no good caretakers, they're selfish at times or most of the time, and it's like, I'm actually innocent, I'm deserving of love, it's just my whole family is unstable and emotionally volatile. Now, number one, a child doesn't have the capacity to reason like that. It doesn't have the capacity to see things from the parent's point of view. Basically understanding, okay, mommy is drinking not because I made her feel bad, but because she made herself feel bad, because something that's going on in the relationship with my father and my mother. The child doesn't see that. For the child, it's always me, because something that I've done, something that I haven't done. So the child then needs to assume that, okay, daddy is beating me because there's something wrong with me, right? This is bearable for a child, although it's horrific and traumatic for a child, but it's bearable. The child can cope and bear a low self-esteem and feeling unworthy. What it cannot cope with is the sense of the family is unstable. My parents are not good caretakers and they're emotionally unstable themselves and caught up in their own emotional issues. And basically what that means, I cannot trust them. This is what the child needs to feel. This is why it makes up this illusion, this delusion, this idea, this reasoning and belief that I am worthless. This is the explanation why those things happen to me. This is the only explanation that the child can come up with in order to satisfy its need for security, right? The child can only feel secure in the family when it feels like, okay, I am being utterly worthless. And the only reason why that happened to me is because I have done something wrong. I haven't done enough to prove my worth. There is something that I need to do, some way that I need to be in order to be worthy of their love. So in returning to that natural state, the natural state of healthy self-esteem, where we feel we are okay the way we are in the core of our being. No matter what we do, we are okay the way we are. There are some behaviors that I display that are not okay at times, but in the core, I allow myself to also make mistakes, right? This is what healthy self-esteem comes to and means. Returning to our natural state. So in order to return to that, to basically build a healthy self-esteem, which is inaccurate because you don't build it, you just get rid of the low self-esteem beliefs and thinking patterns. Do you see that, right? Basically getting rid of the trash in the ocean. In order to do that, we need to see things from an adult perspective, seeing that, okay, back then it served me, seeing myself as unworthy, because I needed to feel secure in my family. And the only reason I could feel secure is to make up a belief that I am unworthy in order to explain the things that happened to me in childhood or why my parents couldn't give me the love that I wanted. So starting with appreciation, right? Really seeing like, okay, it served me. It was a belief that I needed to build, but right now in my adult life it doesn't serve me anymore. And all those things that are related to an unhealthy sense of self-esteem, to a damaged sense of self-esteem, like being cheated upon, right? Being tricked, being treated unfairly, maybe even being abused physically in a relationship, being bullied, or being jealous of other people, being very self-critical, not having the ability to make money, not really having the ability to step up for yourself, to speak yourself, not really feeling deserving that other people show you affection, right? You feel like, okay, I haven't actually done anything, he must have some thoughts behind that, maybe he wants to manipulate me in order to whatever, yeah? These are all low self-esteem thinking. When we see that these don't serve us right now anymore, because there's nothing that right now we need to protect ourselves from, apart from our own behavior, then we are free, right? Back here we were protecting us from this fear of instability, you know, this terror that we would feel when we would sense the parents are unstable emotionally and they can't really give me that love. This is what we needed to protect ourselves from as children. Now we do not need to protect ourselves anymore from those things. What we now need to protect ourselves and our children from is our own low self-esteem and the way we beat ourselves up. Guys, what I would like you to understand is what we don't clear out in ourselves, we will invariably pass on to our children. When you have a low self-esteem, you tend to be critical towards yourself, you tend to be critical to other people. Then your children will feel, okay, mommy only loves me when she is not critical, when I display certain behaviors that match her expectations. That means I am only worthy unless I be the way my mom wants me to be, which builds the same sense of unhealthy self-esteem in the children. So what you can do right now to wrap this video up is to go through the healing meditation that I've put together. You find it by clicking on the video description below and getting it. It's for free, I don't charge anything for that, but I really highly recommend that because this is a limit what a video can do, right? A video can give you understanding, and this is necessary in order to achieve some healing results with the healing meditation. What the healing meditation cannot give you is the understanding that this video can provide, so those two go together, so you really see some benefits and some results with that, right? And the last thing that I want to say, if you have gotten anything out of this video, if you found it helpful, please leave a comment. On one hand for me, because then my video gets exposed to more people, but also for the people who read your comment, right? Because when you share something from the heart, something in honesty, other people feel inspired to do so. Let's say you share something that your father or your mother was emotionally unavailable, and this is how you discovered where this unhealthy sense of low self-esteem comes from, and you share that and really are vulnerable. Other people say like, wow, I have never read something like that in a YouTube comment. Now I feel inspired to share as well, or now I feel inspired to actually look at my topics too. So you can be a medicine to other people, and I truly mean that by you stepping up and sharing something in honesty. Thank you very much, and I wish you a beautiful day.
Hey now, take a step outside and seize the day now. Set aside your worries, it's okay now.